Welcome to Go Deep Dive, episode 18. We've done 18 of these, David.
That's just 18 weeklies, right?
That's
I
18
thought we cut the
weeklies.
post games. That's
Right.
crazy. Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Time does fly indeed when you are having fun. We've got a fun one for you today. We've got one of the most exciting LSU baseball prospects in quite some time. Lefty Braxton Beaty. Welcome to the show, buddy. Welcome to the
How
show.
you guys
Thank you
doing?
for joining us. Oh, we're doing fantastic. Happy to have you on with us. How does it feel knowing now that you kind of have some certainty as to where your destination is?
Yeah, it feels great. Kind of like you just said, it gave me a lot of certainty, and now I can kind of just lay back and kind of relax and enjoy the rest of the summer and enjoy this process of, watching some of the guys get drafted and not have to sit on the edge of my chair for that process. But no, it's given me such a relaxation that it's awesome. Now I get to hop on these podcasts with you guys and have a good time.
We're excited for it, man. I think you talked about Paul's our good friend. We'll walk it off last night. Talked about it last night. You committed early, and then now affirm that you're coming to school early too. So you just like being ahead of the game, huh?
There you go. Yeah, I like having things planned out.
Absolutely. You coming from Angleton High School, you talked a little bit last night about playing with the Padres scout team. For some people who may not know, it might be us. We may have had these questions as well. I'm not going to expose us. But how does that process kind of work to get selected to a team like that? And what does that kind of look like? And what experience did you kind of get from playing with that team?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. It truly was like a once in a lifetime experience. I played for a few travel ball teams when I was younger, and after I want to say it was my freshman summer, I had a DM come across my Instagram, and they kind of asked if I wanted to come out and play for them. And after I got on a phone call with Coach Cam Maben and one of our directors, Brandon Williams, it was just an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. And being able to play on that team for 2 years like I just said, it was an awesome once in a lifetime experience playing with the best players in the country, really. And especially having a defense like that behind you and a lineup like that behind you as well. It makes it really easy to go out there and throw strikes and pitch. So, like I said, it was awesome. I have nothing but great words to say about them. And if I could go back and do it again, I 100% would.
It almost sounds like the experience similar to like USA baseball for some guys, like how it's just like the high level competition and all. Like it just you're used to it, but it brings like a little bit extra out of you, be able to compete with that, throughout, huh?
100%. And kind of like I said, like just playing with the best players in the country, playing against the best players in the country, is awesome. And you always kind of want to see how you measure up to everybody else. And you go into all the premier tournaments in the country, going to USA baseball tournament. And like I said, just playing against the best players in the country does nothing but help you out and make you better.
For sure. So we know you're a lefty pitcher, gotten up to 93 from what we've seen, but saw last year that you were up to like 400 hitting. I was curious, most high school guys, you even being a dominant pitcher, you also like Kate Anderson, they say was incredible in the outfield, a good hitter, but he went number 3 overall as a left-handed pitcher. What position did you play outside of pitching?
So before I had my injury and got hurt, I played outfield. And you're not gonna believe this, or you might believe it, but I was a terrible hitter. before this past season, before my senior season, I was a terrible hitter. I think my first 2 seasons combined, I might have had a batting average of 100. And then I got hurt and kind of just focused on pitching. Like I wasn't even planning on hitting this spring at all. And then some things came up, and I had to end up hitting, and I ended up playing first base. But no, yeah, I kind of just picked up the bat one day, and I guess I learned how to hit overnight. But no, it was fun. It was fun to go out there and just mess around and compete with all my buddies from high school and stuff like that. So, No, it was a good time for sure. Hopefully, I'd never have to touch a bat again in my life, though.
You
Hey,
said
you never
mess
know.
around and hit 400.
You never know. You could end up being the next Todd Peterson, where you come in the
Yeah,
SEC tournament and have
yeah.
that moment.
I hope I have a viral moment like that as well. I still see that video till this day. Yeah, that's an iconic video. That was funny.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. You talked a little bit about the TJ experience. Did anything change from your daily routine and like some of your warm up stuff going through that process and kind of on the other side of that?
Yeah, I think I just learned how to prepare better. I learned how to take care of my body. I learned how to, just go about my business like a professional, and like I should have been doing the whole time. But here we are. Um, but and I said this last night as well. Like it gave me a year to get more physical. It gave me a year to get bigger and stronger, and I needed that year 100%. And I'm not gonna sit here and say Tommy John was the best thing to ever happen in my life, but it's up there for sure. And just having that year to kind of reset and take time off and take time to spend with family and friends and do all that stuff was huge. And I had a great time doing it, and I also got able to get bigger and stronger, and work on a few things pitching wise, and kind of fine tune some things as well. So all that came together this summer, and I ended up having a decent little summer.
And I'll tell you, it's absolutely inspiring to a fellow picky eater what you've done. So
Yeah.
don't let anybody give you shame for being a picky eater. Us picky eaters are going to stick together. All right.
Yeah, we are for sure, for sure. I'm one of the most picky eaters you'll ever meet in your life. And yeah, my mom said last night on that interview, she said she's ready for Coach Martin to get a hold of me.
Jay talks. So I mean, Jay brings him up like as much as he can. Him and Isaac Trujillo. I'm assuming you met him too, the trainer. But
Yes,
like
sir.
Jay, there's like so many unsung heroes for Jay Johnson, and he brings up everybody. It's always really cool to hear him, give credit to guys like that don't normally get that sort of credit. But I'm glad you mentioned like feeling fresher, along with getting bigger and stronger, with that year off. Do you feel like missing, that extended period of time during your high school career, you coming into LSU almost a little bit fresher, not having like the 80 extra innings, on your arm as you get to campus?
100%. Because before, I was throwing a bunch of innings, and doing all that. I mean, I was, one of the top pitchers on really every team I've grown up on. So there was a lot of mileage on my arm, and hard, and I threw a little bit too hard for my body at the time. And that, along with a lot of mileage, took a toll on me. And that year gave me the opportunity to take the year off, not throw in any games and stuff like that. And then to kind of go along with it, like I was on an innings limit all spring and all summer also. So really, I probably threw almost 110 innings my first 2 years of high school. And I probably these past 2 years I've probably thrown 45. So that I really cut it in half of what I've done. And I think going in to next spring, being able to carry that with me will be tremendous. And I'll be able to come into it fresh.
Nice. Good.
So let's kind of get into a little bit of your game. What would you say is your favorite pitch to throw?
I would say right now probably the slider. I mean, it has good bite to it. I can throw it really in any count that I want to any hitter. But my changeup's coming along pretty nice as well. I've been working really, really hard on that these past couple of years. And like I kind of to piggyback on what I just said, having Tommy John that gave me that year to develop that pitch. And some people would say that's my best pitch, and I didn't even throw it until a year ago. But those two for sure. And then obviously I have a fastball that I like to throw and do stuff with that sometimes. But I would say my slider is my favorite pitch right now. Just I have the most trust in it.
Well, is that more of like a traditional, not necessarily 12-6, but more of like a fall off the table type of pitch, or is it more like a modern slurve, I guess you could say. It's got a little bit more lateral, movement to it.
I'd say it kind of depends on what I'm trying to do. I'm blessed enough to be able to kind of manipulate it when I need to. So if I need to get a real swing and miss, then I can manipulate it into the it looks like a fastball until 55 feet and it falls off the table and you swing at it in the dirt. Or if I need a take in the zone, then I can make it almost into more of that sweeper that you're talking about, and get a take. So really, it kind of depends on the situation and what I need to do.
It's amazing because you don't necessarily hear like kids and guys your age coming into college with the ability to adapt in that fashion. When did you kind of realize that you had that ability? Was it after TJ or was it a little bit before as you were kind of developing?
I've always had a pretty good feel to pitch, and I grew up not throwing really really hard, so I had to learn pretty young how to pitch and get guys out and navigate lineups and all that stuff. So as I got older and as I got a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger and started to throw a little harder, it all kind of carried with me, and I knew how to pitch, and then I started throwing harder, and everything kind of ticked up, and it made it a lot easier to get guys out. It makes it a lot easier when you're throwing 93 instead of 83. Uh, but no, like I said, I kind of learned how to pitch pretty young, so I've had that feel for a while now, and I think being able to do that since I was a little younger, it's done nothing but help me out.
I mean, the progress and the point you've gotten to, just to this point as a senior in high school or just finishing your senior year of high school is incredible. It always blows my mind. You see guys like yourself that are that advanced at this part. I mean, that's why y'all are special. But now coming to LSU, Nate Yeskie is considered one of the most elite, pitching coaches in the game. What were like part of like your, profile mechanics, that are you looking forward to get into the lab with him and potentially, expanding on?
Yeah, I think pitch mix for sure. I don't throw a traditional curveball yet, so that's something I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into, or maybe throwing a little bit harder of a slider, being able to throw it harder when I need to, or stuff like that. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Is just pitch mix, kind of expanding that, so you're a little bit more unpredictable on the mound. Makes it a little bit tougher on guys to hit you and stuff like that. So if I had to pick one thing, that'd probably be the answer.
Is that kind of a go ahead?
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, we saw Casey Evans, at the end of his freshman year, add a pitch, and start throwing it while in Omaha. So I mean, that's speaks to the capability of also Casey Evans and Nate Yeskie as well. So I'm excited, for that possibility and potential for you to like I said, expand.
Yes, sir.
Is that you and Coach Yes's goal for the offseason to kind of develop another breaking ball of that aspect?
I wouldn't say quite yet. That might be something that we look into kind of over the fall and into the winter and stuff like that. But really the biggest emphasis this summer is really, just putting on mass, trying to put on as much mass as possible and getting a little bit more durable and, moving weight and getting bigger and stronger. So that's the biggest emphasis. That I'm getting on a throwing program this summer. So I'll see what that kind of entails itself. But like I said, the biggest emphasis this summer is just putting on a little bit of mass.
Picky eating will do that.
No kidding.
Sorry, I get so much crap for that. So when I heard you say that yesterday, I was like, love it.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
Curious to see how that changes and what more you try when you get, down here.
Yeah, I am too.
So you make this, massive decision last week to announce that you're coming to school, you pass on a draft. We're curious there's been a lot of news the last 2 weeks with the 5 for 5, the potential, draft changes, although it's not going to go into effect the way they proposed it last week, but like the no more high school players in the draft and sophomore year being eligible after that, but stuff like that. And then even a potential lockout. Did any of those like sort of changes or, fears play any role in you deciding to come?
Not really. I kind of made the decision solely off of, watching the College World Series and being in Baton Rouge and being at the box this spring, it was just like I said this last night. The first thing I said when I picked up the phone and called Coach Johnson was I can't see myself not doing this for the next 3 years and not coming to school. And I really meant that. And then I didn't know anything about the the high school proposal thing that the MLB put out until like 5 minutes after I announced it. And I saw that and I was like, well, I mean, looks like that's that. um, but no, none of that really had any influence on my decision. It was just solely off of this is what I wanted to do, um, and I really mean that, and I can't wait for the next 3 years.
That's what my mother-in-law likes to call a God wink. Like, just to let you know you made the right decision. It's like
Yeah,
God wink, and actually being like, good job.
for sure.
For sure.
Oh man. So you're a lefty, like we talked about. It was one of the things that LSU had struggled with this season was finding a consistent left-handed arm in some crucial spots. Have you and Coach Jay or Coach Yeski as well kind of gone through what the plan is for you in your first season?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be whatever the team needs from me. Whether that's starting, whether that's coming in the bullpen, whether it's throwing in midweek games. Whatever we need from me to get outs and win baseball games and get back to Omaha is what we're gonna do. So, um, just taking that mindset with me whenever I go in there of whatever they need me to do. I don't really care what it is. I want to pitch and I want to help. The LSU Tigers win baseball games, and that's my job. So, whatever that entails is for the Lord to figure out, and I'm just along for the ride.
There you go.
You sound fit for with the one of Jay's mantras, or I guess saying is team over me. He loves, and that's that's sort of mindset already. I'm curious if you have like any established relationships with some Tigers that are already on the roster, and then even some guys that you expect to make it to campus with, freshmen or incoming freshmen. I mean,
Yeah. Obviously there's quite a few guys from Texas on the team. So like guys like Omar Cerna, Cooper Williams, Kason Evans, guys like that I keep in touch with and just try to talk to them as much as possible. And then, you got guys in our recruiting class like Braden Cupid, Parker Lowe, Jordan Martinez, guys like that. Those end up being my roommates for my freshman year. So I talk to them pretty much on a daily basis. So those are guys that, all those guys I try to talk to on a daily basis and try to, come into this with the best relationship with them as possible.
That's three freshmen that you just named that had incredible freshman seasons at LSU. So that's some good guys to be talking to every day and following their footsteps, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh man, got me feeling like Paul with the sir, but I'm not gonna. You can do whatever you want. I was listening to that too. I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna react to that. Oh,
that's funny. It's just what I do. It's what I say.
I respect it. I respect it. I've got a niece who's your age, and she's never shown me like any like. It's never been Uncle Zach or anything like that from her. Like a day in her life, it's always it's just Zach. Like so, it's just funny to hear like somebody around the same age going about it just like completely differently for me. But I did want to ask about the velo. It seems like I think you said 93, right? Is that what you were at with your fastball?
Yes, sir. There were a few outings this year that, I grabbed a 94, 95. But I mean those were kind of outliers, big situations, stuff like that when I could go out there and grab it. So it's in there. It's in there. It's just whether or not we get to it in a situation or not. But no, I mainly sit, 90, 91, 93. But usually throughout my outings, what I get up to, so if I get up to 93, you're going to see a lot of them. Like I'm not a type of guy where I'm going to sit 89 and 90 and grab a 93, 94. Where I'm at for the day is kind of where I'm going to be at. So that's really where I was most of the season.
Do you think with the kind of the bulking up, like you talked about a little bit, do you think you have a little bit more in there that you could potentially grab with a college strength program?
100%. 100%. I'm really excited to get into that and kind of just see where it takes me. Because like I said, I grabbed the 94, grabbed the 95 a couple times this season. So just seeing, how much I can get and how consistently I can get it. Like I said, I've grabbed those before. So if I can consistently get them and, be there every outing, then we're going to be in a good spot.
What you got on your fastball? You have like glove or arm side run, or does it, have that plane, where it stays, flat the whole, not flat, but straight the whole time? What you got?
Yeah, I got some arm side run for sure, and then I also have what they call ride or good vert is what they call it now. So it stays above bats and it kind of breaks into left-handed hitters as well. So it's been an effective pitch for me so far, and I kind of hope to carry that on throughout my career.
That the arm side run, paired with like the changeup, like you mentioned. That combination right there is filthy, and then you add in, the slider that you got. That's pretty filthy for an incoming freshman. So with that sort of pitch mix, and the effectiveness that you have, has Jay Johnson laid out like a specific path to the mound for you in 2027? I know that you said that you're going to contribute in whatever way possible that they need you to, but has that been a conversation? Not getting into future plans that Jay doesn't want you to talk about, don't get in trouble, but is there like a plan in place that like, hey, like you may start, come in, as a setup guy, or like you may come in mid, anything like that?
Not necessarily, not yet. We're gonna try to get our feel for it during the fall, and see where those outings lead us, and then go from there. But as long as I'm throwing strikes in the strike zone and getting outs, that's my focus, is going out there and getting outs. And I feel like as long as I do that, then I'll be in a good spot, and the team will be in a good spot.
Sure.
Do you want him to show off his grips real quick?
Yeah, we're talking about pitches. I'd love to see it. So yeah, start with, or you can talk about it in whatever order you'd like to.
Yeah, so talking about that 14 fastball, we got it right here, right now. So I kind of like to have that horseshoe on the inside of my hand. Pre Tommy John, I had it on the outside, and when I came back, I started cutting the ball, and so I moved it and put the horseshoe on the inside to kind of stay through the ball a little bit better. And then once we found out I was cutting it with the horseshoe on the outside, we moved my slider to that because I had natural glove side towards there. And so we kind of just moved my fingertips on that horseshoe, on that seam, and try to rip as hard as I can through the baseball. And then right here, we have the changeup. So I kind of want to put as much leverage that I can on this horseshoe right here and pull down with that middle finger to try to get as much arm side movement as I can.
I could never throw the circle change. That was if I try to throw it, I'd throw it over the fence whenever I was warming up with somebody. I could never get that.
So I used to try to fully close the circle, and I could never do it. And so what I did was I put, like I said, I put that middle finger on that horseshoe right there, and then I put my pointer finger on this horseshoe down here, so I had a little bit more leverage on the baseball, and I just kind of stick my thumb up underneath it. So it could pass as a circle changeup, but I guess it's technically not a circle change.
That's probably pretty confusing as a hitter to see that too, because it's a little bit of a variation on that grip, so it's probably got a little bit different of a motion than what hitters would be used to seeing. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Last question, and we'll let you run because we don't want to take up too much of your time. This is the second night in a row you've done this. You're probably tired of all the podcasts.
I'm having a great time. I can do this all night, guys.
We appreciate it.
So it's kind of a two-parter here. One, have you ever been able to make it to Omaha as a fan? And then two, outside of Omaha, what stadium outside of the box are you most excited to play in?
Those are some good questions. No, I have never. Actually, I've never been to Omaha as a fan. I played in the high school national championship there last summer, And so I got to pitch at Omaha, which was an awesome experience. Hopefully a little bit of foreshadowing for what the future holds. But
Sure.
I have not been there as a fan, and kind of to piggyback off what Coach Johnson says is I only want to go there if I'm playing. I don't want to go there as a fan. I don't really want to watch anybody else play there. If I'm playing there, I'll be there. And then for the second question, I would say that's a good question. I would say Texas A&M. One because it's close to home, so I have a lot of family and friends there. And second, I kind of want to that place gets a little rowdy. Now, like I said, I grew up there. I grew up, an hour and a half from College Station. So, growing up, going to games there and stuff like that, I've kind of seen the rowdiness that it gets there, and I can't wait to pitch there. I can't wait for them to. Hopefully, we don't get to the ball five chant.
I was just thinking that.
But hopefully we don't get to that chant. But just being able to hopefully withstand that crowd will be pretty awesome.
I'm
I
sure
love
Mom
that.
will be screaming both ways, huh?
Yeah, I'm sure. I said last night she might have a Tiger jersey in maroon.
Oh, I'm sure somebody can make her one if she really wanted it.
I'm sure. I'm gonna throw this up there. If I know Jack said last question, but Paul threw this in the chat. This is very important, especially for Paul. Paul's a nickname guy. So
Okay.
Is there any sort of nickname that you have, or I don't know if there's something you can come up with your head that you want it to be, but do you have any sort of nickname that you'd want, everyone to go by you as?
I think Brax. I think Brax is pretty simple. I've been called Brax my whole life. So when I have people call me Braxton, it kind of throws me off a little bit. But no, Brax works just fine.
Brax is a good one, man. Well, one last to finish this off. Thank you. We appreciate it. Before Zach sends you out, is like what message? I know you've kind of given like a ongoing message about, to Tiger fans about what to expect and all, and it's been great. But if you got one quick thing you want to tell the fans, what to expect or whatever, the stage is yours.
Yeah. Kind of like I've been saying, can't wait. Excited, super excited. And, thank everybody for, showing me the love that I felt the past, 3 days. It's been awesome to see, and awesome to see Tiger Nation kind of back me up throughout this process. And, it's been awesome, to see the love that y'all have given me. So can't wait. Super excited. Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. We really appreciate you joining us. And you're extremely well spoken. So I don't know what kind of media training you've had prior to this, but you can tell everybody at LSU that you don't need to go through the mandated athlete media training when you get there, because you've done excellent across both shows so far.
I appreciate it.
But really, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure the three of us will be out there at fall ball watching you at some point prior to the season. So we look forward to seeing you again, man.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah,
Have
Bryce,
a good one.
See y'all.
Oh,
There he
man.
is.
Great kid. Great guy, man. Wow.
I texted y'all 5 minutes into Paul's interview last night, and I was like this kid. We're getting to the point. I guess that's why we get called sir, because we refer to them as kids. And
right. I gotta stop.
But
I gotta stop.
It's not. Look, Paul just said it in the chat. Like good kid. Like it's not like a disrespectful thing. It's just like we're twice their age, So at least Paul and I are. But I texted Zach and Paul last night. 5 minutes into his interview on Walk It Off, and it's like this kid is extremely well spoken. I'm impressed by the maturity, of I'm assuming 18 years old. I guess we should look dumb, but whatever, around that age, young man that just graduated from high school. I'm excited to, like you said, I can't wait to not only just see him pitch, in purple and gold and become like a stud on the mound, but just, get to experience that whole process of what it is to be an LSU baseball player. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. And really good head on his shoulders. It seems like he's a great competitor. He's got me fired up. I mean, just listening to him across, today. And I mean, I'm sitting on the plane listening to his interview with Paul, and I'm like, let's go. And Teresa's sitting next to me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm watching the interview you did with Paul. She's like, okay, you're just, I don't know. He's got me fired up. It's nice to be able to, see such well-rounded competitors come through the program.
For sure. And for those that may be in here that weren't there last night, go back and watch Walk It Off last night with Paul. We planned, this out. He was coming on consecutive nights, and it's two completely different interviews. Like Paul does what Paul does and like gets to talk like life, and more like personal stuff. We, talk like a little bit more on the field, but it's just, it worked like two completely different interviews on back-to-back nights that are like both, go back and watch it. That's all I can say. It was a great interview. Paul did a great job. So y'all got to go watch that.
We're like the Avengers. You can't watch one without watching the other. You need both to understand each other.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay. I think the best segue into the rest of the show is Tiger Moore. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me get this pulled up, and we can go from there. I do, however, believe that you have the first pick today because you and CJ ceded your picks to me.
We did.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you gave me Joe Burrow. Still unbelievable.
I forgot to look and see. I put a poll out for the Tiger Moore last week. I forgot to
look it up. I'll try to find it.
Pull it. The voting ended this morning, but yeah. So for this week, we're doing Mount Tiger Moore of best regular season games, not bad, favorite, whatever, regular season games, any sport. We did narrow it down to, regular season because as Zach said when we were talking today, it'd be all championship games or mostly championship games if we included all those in there, because even if they weren't great games, like it's, hard not to love, blowing Ohio State in the 2007 national championship game. It like was good for maybe a half and then LSU ran away with it. So it wasn't really a good game, but we loved it. And it's, like I said, we get that emotional pull. So narrowed it down
and maybe we'll have a separate Mount Tiger Moore of championships. Yeah. So
I was thinking that.
We'll keep it to the regular season for this one, and we may get to the championships later on because I think that would be another really fun thing. And if honestly, like if we included championships, the whole thing would end up being championship games. So like this felt like a good way to break this into two different lists.
For sure. I was about to say humble brag that we can do an entire Tiger Moore with titles because LSU is just different. We know, but so I didn't even get to, I was kind of jotting these down as I drove home from Texas today. I didn't get to like really order it. So I'm really shooting from the hip here. This is tough. This is one of those weeks that we talk about where you don't necessarily want the first pick. This isn't as easy as Joe Burrow.
No.
I'm going to go, I don't know if this is going to be as impactful for everybody. But for me, I was a freshman in 2007. And that LSU Florida game in 2007 versus Tebow versus Matt Flynn, Jacob Hester was probably my favorite game that I've ever watched in Tiger Stadium. The LSU won, was it 28-24? LSU converted 5 fourth down conversions in that game. Just kept getting, and I mean, not even like converting it by 3-4 yards. I mean, we're talking inches. Like there was one drive at the end of the game, I think the go-ahead touchdown, where they came out and measured, I think 2 or 3 of the fourth down plays, and they're like that close. He said, I don't know if that's gonna be 1-1 for everybody, but that was like the first game that came to mind. It was just beating Tebow was awesome.
It was my number 2 pick, if that makes you feel better.
It does.
And I debated between that one and what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with 2003 LSU Georgia, the Skylar Green Matt Mock play. Really what kind of brought LSU's dynasty back or I guess not back, but like kind of established the dynasty of what LSU football and the expectations of the program is today. Give me a second to type this out. My next pick, there was a couple baseball games that I considered throwing in here. But the one I there was a football game that to me just meant more to me than some of the baseball games. And that was 19 LSU Alabama. I'm going to get crap for not going game of the century, going with 2019 over the game of the century. I fully am prepared to take that heat, but I think it was what kind of happened after that in both seasons that for me that changed that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that you could have went with, as far as LSU Bama goes. That one, because that one makes sense, because if you think about it, went into that game, it was pretty clear LSU was the best team in the country by that point, but it was still like this lingering question in our head was, can they get over the Bama hump? Because that was year after year. Even the year before, I got shut out, at home, and we know there's a big difference between those two teams, those two offenses. But going into that game in 2018, we felt really good about it. We thought we had a chance, and you end up getting shut out, and it was like competitive. But like that's the point where we're at, where we were just kind of like, all right, we played well, but it was like, can you get over the hump? And then you emphatically did it. 2 fumbles on their opening drive, and like just right down the field, Jamar Chase, and then it was off to the races until it got tight at the end. But that's a great pick.
And the Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown that pretty much every team for the rest of existence will run that play. Shout out Clyde, man. Clyde's another one of those guys who could have been thrown on the cult heroes in a way, just because like, I don't know. I'm a fan of undersized running backs. Like he was short, but he had a lot of power. I was a big Clyde fan. Not to cut you off, but
no. I mean, he was. It's almost like Thad Moss, where it was just like he's one of the. I don't want to say forgotten, because he's definitely not forgotten, but just because of what you had at the top, with the trio of receivers, it's easy to look past him, I guess, in a way. Like I said, that's not even the right way to say it, but like everyone thinks Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Well, like it doesn't happen without Thad, in the middle of the field, or without Clyde doing what he could do, on the ground. And I
and the Clyde and the Thad toe touch.
Oh my goodness, that I still don't understand how he did that. It is witchcraft.
So many moments from that game, and that's like one of the reasons why I had to go with that over the game of the century. If you want to hate me, you can hate me. But man, I had to go 2019.
No, that was a key cog in the greatest football season of all time. So that's fair. I will go game of the century. I probably would have taken whichever one of those two you didn't. It's one of those like hindsight things where like you look back and how that season ended, to where some people could argue, that one maybe is further down their list because of, like I said, what ended up happening. But you put yourself back in that moment, like going into that game, it was what, number 1 versus number 2. It was like the most exciting 9-6 game that you could possibly watch too. It was just 2 teams doing what they do best, like defense. It was a game of the century. That it was called that for a reason. This is where we start to get tough. That's 2011, right? I don't know if I said that.
Yes.
But
yes.
This is where it gets tough here. Sorry, like I said, I didn't list these before, so it's
you're good. You better take what I think you're about to take, or I'm gonna take it. Just to warn you.
I'm sure you will.
And Paul will never forgive you.
Paul, now you're putting the pressure on me. I forgot about that list. I mean that side. I separated. I was looking at all one side. Yeah. Now I'm gonna leave it for you. Honestly, I'm gonna leave it for you.
All right. All right.
because again, you gotta, in totality, like some of these things don't matter as much, because it happened outside of a national championship year. But you didn't just think about the game itself. 2022 LSU Bama with Jaden Daniels was incredible. The 2-point conversion, like Brian Kelly does not deserve much credit at all. That's probably the one thing I'd put at the top of the list for him is having the guts to go for 2 in that situation. Yeah, they went into the game as like 10-point underdogs, and I remember thinking like that's way too much. I just had a feeling for that game. It just, man, it was awesome. That was like where everyone realized like, oh, Jaden's for real. Like he's for real. I mean, you go to overtime. Bama went down and tied the game right at the end of regulation, right? And then you go into overtime, and then because there wasn't much scoring in that game too till like the fourth quarter, if I remember right. But Bama scored first in overtime, and it just kind of like deflated everybody because it was like you had the lead. They went and tied it right before. I think they kicked a field goal to tie the game right before to go overtime. They scored the touchdown, and it's like, and then before we can even like start to get nervous, Jaden Daniels is taken off for a 25-yard touchdown run or near. I think it was first down. It might have been second down. And just like that, like you score, and then the realization of, oh my God, they're going for 2. And then right corner of the end zone, Mason Taylor. I mean, that game was incredible.
I think that was the only aura moment of Brian Kelly's coaching career, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that would even be a hot take to say that either. Like
no,
that single moment is the only aura moment that he had ever had, and it was a beautiful moment. And that it gave so much hope too, so much hope.
It did.
It's still one of my favorite moments. Like that was the first LSU football game that Teresa had been to, and we like sat right behind. It was the opposite end zone of where Mason Taylor scored. So like as soon as he caught it, our whole like section was like on the field already. So like in Teresa's first game in Tiger Stadium for LSU, like she's getting to go on the field. It's like, what a way for that to be your first game.
Yeah, right. Like where do you go from here? That's a tough one to beat. Yeah.
Right.
Good. So she'll like my list and vote for me.
She might. You didn't take it, so I'm going to. I'm going 1:17 a.m. The walk-off Tennessee. I think it was a big part of that season, don't get me wrong, but I think once you get into spooky hours, everything, all the emotions and the adrenaline is just so much more magnified. And that's a moment where the season ended the way it did, and you look back on what led you to a championship, and that's 1:17 a.m. is one of those moments.
Agreed. Yeah, went to the 9th inning down 3-0, couldn't do anything, got shut down by Liam Doyle, and had no hope. Little hope, and yeah, that was the double pucker up by Lynn Rollins. That'll be one of his best ever. The double pucker up. Yeah,
pucker up. Oh man, I've got to go. I've made myself pick an oldie. And for my oldie, I'm between the. I say oldie, and this might piss you off that I'm saying that this is an oldie. The 88. I'm between the 88 earthquake game and the Billy Cannon cannonball run in 59. I think I'm gonna go with 59. Because I mean Billy Cannon for the longest time, the only Heisman LSU had until you had Burrow and Daniels come in. I'm gonna go with the cannonball run.
Halloween night, right?
I believe so. I was born quite a number of years later on that day or close to that day, but I forced myself to pick an old one just so we didn't get made to look like children for leaving them off the list.
Yeah, that's a good call. There's so many good ones left. But I mean, the earthquake game's got to be on there. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, and that's why I was between those two.
Yeah, I'll follow your lead and go with one of those two. So I mean, I primarily made this list based on personal experiences. I knew we would, just like some of the the list with former Tigers, not to get a ring. Some older names thrown out there, and it's like I mean, this one's a little bit more personal than that for us, but like I said, my own experiences. I was born in 80. I'm old, but I was born in 88. So I was like, I wonder if I was probably, my birthday is September 27th, 1988. So I was maybe like just a couple weeks old or like just born. I don't know the exact date of that game.
Let me see. Let me find the exact date. October 8th. You were a couple weeks old.
I was just under 2 weeks old. That's crazy. See, you're welcome, everyone. Right when I came into the world, we get the Richter scale and go off on campus. I love it.
Man,
I got I got like 7 honorable mentions.
I've got quite a few as well.
I'll say a few and then I'll let you go so I don't take them all.
Mm-hmm.
Let me some of my favorite. I've always stood fast on Florida being my favorite rivalry for football. So they could have been on the list a couple times. Like I got that's why 07 was my number one. 2019 Florida game was incredible. That game
was. If
you look at final scores, Auburn was the one that played LSU the closest that year by final score, but like that wasn't a 2-touchdown game against Florida. That was back and forth.
Right. Well, and to be honest, I've always said this, and like I've also said that like my memory is a little hazy because I was on the field for a lot of the 2019 home games, and like when I'm on the field filming, like your head is like only focused on like what you're filming. Right. So like my memory of Florida and Auburn is that like Florida was a much closer game than what Auburn was.
Yeah.
So and score doesn't show that, but like that's just what my memory recalls when I think of those two games.
I'm distracted. I don't know how it turned into like let's hate on Dave for being old hour, but Trip, I expect it from Paul because Paul's the same age, so he can't. But Trip, I thought we were boys. I mean, man, you spend the whole season next to somebody in the press box and think you become really close with them, and then they just come and just rip into you and make you feel super old. I mean, I guess. Thanks for being in here, Trip.
Another one I really wanted to fit on here was 2024 Ole Miss, the walk-off, Kyrie Lacey. That one was a good one. Another one we're going to get crapped on for not putting on is the Bluegrass Miracle. Some other research that I did had 72 LSU Ole Miss. 1997 LSU versus Florida, the goalpost game. This is also one of my favorites, and I'm disappointed I didn't find a spot for it. But 2018 LSU versus Georgia, number 2 versus number 13. Yep. We've talked about this before, like people we know running out of the stadium with down markers and first down markers, like that's still an incredible story. But like there were people leaving with chunks of grass and like it was absolute pandemonium on the field after that game. It was awesome.
I remember being so pissed. That's when I was working on a tugboat, and that was a 2:30 game. Maybe was it earlier than that? It might have been like earlier than that, I think, huh? Because my shift started at 4 p.m.
It was a day game.
I know it was definitely day, but I remember waking up from my shift at around 4 and like it being at the end of the game, and I was like, oh my God. Like I meant to wake up. I just like it was tough to wake up early when you're on that late night shift. But I couldn't believe it. What else you were going to say?
It was at 2:30.
2:30. So I must have woke up right after halftime and they were blowing. I was like, what is going on? Like, yeah. I did have it, though.
I did have a basketball honorable mention. I stand on, I can't remember if it had to have taken place in 2020, but 2020 is a blur. So it may have been late 2019. the LSU basketball Tennessee game was one of the best PMAC atmospheres I've ever experienced. I had it listed down somewhere.
Oh, he's so right. He's so right.
Oh man! All right, we got to go back through the comments and find some viewer ones.
While you look for it, I'm gonna read off my last 3 I had. So again, 2007 was special for me because, like I said, I was a freshman. That was my first year in the student section at LSU. But that home opener against Virginia Tech in 2007, where they absolutely demolished Virginia Tech 48-7. And that going into that game, like it was like Virginia Tech was number 9, LSU was 2. It was supposed to be a really good game. And they thought it was like, I remember it was supposed to be a defense, and then just LSU just went off on them. And it was like, yeah, shocked everybody. 2019, Texas deserves a shout out too. That was, early in that year, but going into that one. And then I liked 07 again. Old me loves 07, but 2007 game against Bama. That was the first game against Saban. You went into Bryant Denny and beat them. Really good game. You had that. Who was it that had the strip sack? Was it Chad Jones that had the strip sack at the end of the game to turn it over? It was a safety. Oh man, now I'm blanking. It was one of the safeties. But yeah, I like that one too.
Paul throwing out LSU versus Troy. I stayed that entire game. That entire game. Bluegrass Miracle I put in the viewer section. That has to be on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see what else. LSU Auburn 2007 Demetrius Byrd catch from Tyler Cooley.
That's a good one too.
That is a good one. I might throw that one up there.
Paul said LSU Oregon. That was a good one. It was like Virginia Tech, where it was like a big old matchup to start that year. It was all hyped, and then LSU just asserted dominance. That is a good one.
I might throw that one on there too. I'm just anytime I type on my phone to get it to pull up on the thing. Like I'm blocked, so I have to like look at the screen as I'm typing, and there's a delay.
Oh yeah, it was hard. I mean, y'all know me. I want to get baseball incorporated. I didn't even write anything down other than the Tennessee game. It's hard to find a regular season, just like the impactfulness of a regular season baseball game as a whole. It's hard to compare to some of these football games. I think if we do best moments or favorite moments, then we'll be able to find some more baseball stuff. But yeah,
I think that may be one of the only times in LSU football history that they've played Oregon, right?
I believe so. I
could just throw LSU Oregon on there like that, and we can move from there.
Everyone would know for sure.
Yeah. What else? What else do y'all want to see make the graphic? 7 overtime game is actually is one of the craziest ones. This is also a decent option. The Beaty 4 home run game.
I mean, that's history.
Yeah, the 7 overtime game that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal, and I still stand on business with this that like LSU was screwed out of that game. Like,
oh yeah, they were twice.
I think it was at least more than twice. That was a painful game to watch, and A&M printed cups for it, which is the best part.
They're never beating the accusations of being goobs. Never.
I'm going to start the rumor that A&M and Ole Miss are like long lost twins. Because like, come on now, hanging banners for co-champions that you didn't even really win, and then printing cups for. Come on now.
You throw them in there with Auburn, and I just decided just to start to win national championships too.
Auburn is the cousin that was born in across the country that they didn't really know. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, you want to put Beaty's 4 home run game on that last spot?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll go the Beaty 4.
I even though the two that are pushing it are the two that want to discriminate against old people. So, but sure.
Oh,
Whatever.
brother. Oh, brother. All right. We will get that list posted tomorrow. I will post the poll with it. That is a good idea, and I should have done that from the beginning. So thank you for doing that last week. We'll also have to repost the results from that when we get a chance to go back and find them. All right, so that is it for Mount Tiger Moor. Let's fix our alignment here. Okay. I'm going to pose this to you. Would you like to go the baseball route or the football route?
I feel like we're talking a lot of football just now. We can stick with football if you want.
Okay. So, big news out of today, and Paul mentioned it in the chat earlier. Another one of my favorite AI images I've ever generated, the Brian Kelly Thanos snap.
Dude, I'm sorry. I saw when I first came into the stream earlier, and I saw you had all this stuff set up. I just saw BK Thanos. It was like I had no idea. I didn't pull it up, and now I see. I was so confused.
I did that as soon as the bowl game was over. And it's like the Brian Kelly era is officially over. And
I love it.
One of the best AI image generations I've ever seen. But yes, Brian Kelly ruins everything, even the Mountain West. Brian Kelly will be heading over to CBS as an analyst, and he will actually be calling some Mountain West schemes for this year, signing a contract with CBS. And the reason why this is news, and we're tired of talking about Brian Kelly, honestly, but the reason why it's news is you eat a little chunk out of that buyout, and that can be used for a variety of other things. And as much as I want to, say Brian Kelly's an awful analyst too, I do think he will do a decent job. I mean, the dude's been around football longer than either of us, and a lot of other people have been alive. He knows his stuff. It's just he just got complacent and couldn't win the big one. So I do think he'll do a decent job there. What are your thoughts on Brian Kelly getting Thanos snapped from LSU into the CBS universe?
It's kind of comical that it goes to the Mountain West too. Like it's he didn't even get like Big Ten, or Big Mountain West. That's what we got for you, buddy.
Last year it would have been the Pac-12, where he would have been calling Pac-12 games, and now the Mountain West is kind of like taking over, like you poor pitiful conference, you like you conference role. So now it does feel fitting that it's the Mountain West. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I pulled this up from Tyler. Who said, "Wonder if he's going to use accents for each place."
Oh man,
I'm gonna try super hard to fit in. Look, I'll stick Brian Kelly is objectively like a solid football coach. I mean, I think his career proves that. Was he a solid football coach for LSU? We know the answer to that. No, he wasn't. It was never a good fit. We've talked about that a lot. But he you don't get to where he's been and the amount of games he's won in his career without knowing what you're talking about. His ability to adapt, to newer style football may have caught up to him, but as far as sitting down and talking ball, yep, he gotcha. He's he can. I'm sure he can talk football. I think what will be most interesting, we'll see how long, if he ever is able to loosen up and not just sound monotone when he sits down at the desk and speaks. But no disrespect to CBS, but I mean, the CBS Sports I've always seen is kind of like the more rigid, not, I won't say professional, because not that the other ones aren't professional, but almost like not as much fun and goofy, which I guess is makes sense for him. I don't know. I'm not dying to listen to him. I'll say that. But I'm sure as far as just like I said, if you're being objective, then he'll be able to offer insight to the game of football that I'm sure will be enjoyed by some.
Yeah, it just won't be LSU fans.
No.
Yeah, that's good news. He's signed a contract with somebody else other than LSU, and the buyout money's gone. Something that I'm getting really excited about is College Football 27. I can tell you release dates, but it wouldn't even make a difference. They're releasing all of their the in-game stats and everything, and one of the stats over the past couple of years has been stadium atmosphere. And guess who took the top spot for College Football 27? Tiger Stadium, listed as the hardest place to play in the game this year.
Wait, it
It
wasn't
should have
Oxford?
been no, believe it or not, it wasn't.
Shocking.
I don't, I'm looking at the list now. Oh, wow, they must have got the list wrong, because there's no way Vaught Hemingway's not on this list. That's got to be wrong. Do I need to go back and check the ratings that EA posted, or
tight? Yeah. This must not be updated or something, but there's no way. The fact that was actually a conversation, people were upset about that. I'm like, what are we doing here, man? What are we doing? Lane had to beg y'all to stay at games, come on.
Right? No, I think this is right. I do believe Paul's correct. I think Penn State was number one last year. Some other SEC teams making the list: Sanford and Bryant Denny ran at the top 5 at 4 and 5. Ben Hill Griffin at 7. I could see Ben Hill Griffin in a good Florida year, pushing for that number 1 spot. Nealon's surprisingly high. I thought Nealon, not knocking Nealon, but I didn't think Nealon would be top 10. Kyle Field, no surprise, rounded out the top 10 there. Oklahoma, another surprising SEC team making it there. Darrell K. Royal. I wanted to see Jordan Hare higher, to be honest.
Yeah.
Jordan Hare is one of those haunted stadiums that weird stuff just happens one way or another, either for or against Auburn in Jordan Hare. Or is it Jordan Hare? I believe it's pronounced Jordan Hare. I think it's an Alec Box
Oh, really?
Situation. I do believe it is Jordan Hare. But yeah, it's a fun list to look at. And then over with the following day, they released the team ratings. LSU coming in at number 7 overall team. I believe that is number 6 offense and number 10 defense. I expected the defense to be top 10. I thought they would be a little higher, but then I kind of look at who's ahead of them, and I'm like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. Offense was a big surprise. Because it's you got a bunch of guys in the portal, but do you know how good they're really going to be together?
Well, that's the thing. It's not surprising to me for this, because if we talk about on paper,
right,
then that this is what on paper says. Yeah, when we actually see it get on the field, that's the big question is how it comes together. But I want to throw this up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
That I agree with Paul. I was surprised Kyle Field was actually I thought that was a little bit low, to be honest. I'd rather play in Autzen Stadium than Kyle Field. And that's not just based off of recency bias with 2 years ago that game with whatever when LSU imploded in the second half. I'm glad you said that. I thought that too.
I think a lot of the stadiums ahead of them I'd rather go play at than Kyle Field.
Yeah. For all the jokes that we make and the cult that they are, that they got a good atmosphere. You got to give it to them. Williams-Brice Stadium in South Carolina may be number 1 if you base it off of the first 15 minutes of the game. And then because it's electric there. It's what's the name of the song that they play?
Sandstorm.
saying stuff. I mean, just going Virginia Tech too, going nuts, loud, and all of that, and then they just start losing, and it's just like
Yeah.
sorry to make it.
No, you're good. No, you're
back.
good. No, you're good. Yeah, I think we talked about the overall rankings of the teams and offense and defense. The player ratings. Sam Levitt comes in at number 8 on the offense. For quarterback. In theory, I don't mind him being 8. But looking at some of the guys ahead of him, Darian Mensah, CJ Carr, and Jaden Maivia in particular, I don't know how you put those guys ahead of him because, Levitt was hurt last year, but did you forget what he did the year before that?
Right.
That one was pretty wild to me. Trades Green takes the number 1 spot for tight ends. Rightfully so, but I am a little surprised that, I don't know, just because, everybody has a biased hate against EA as a company. So the fact that, I actually think they did something right,
it is weird to just be like, man, they nailed that. Yeah, they did really well. Yeah, you're right. Not used to being able to do that.
And then they did put out a list of the offensive linemen at one point, and then they deleted the post for whatever reason. But Jordan Seaton did come in at number 4 on the tackles list, which does feel about right for Jordan Seaton because they deleted the list. I can't go back and tell you who was ahead of him, but that feels about right for Seaton.
I think these deserve. I can't pretend like I know a lot about all these other tight ends in the country, but I have a hard time believing that there was anybody more deserving than being number 1 than Trades and the freak athlete that he is.
Right. And I think he'll live up to that 110%.
I can't wait. Get out of here, Joe Sloan.
Yeah, the defensive ratings will drop tomorrow, I believe, and they'll consistently roll out a few more things over the next few days leading up to. There's 2 early releases this year. There's a July 1st release where you have to sign up for some random weird EA exclusive membership account and you get it 7 days before everybody else, and then you get the pre-orders 3 or 4 days, which I pre-ordered because I'm going to buy the game either way, so why not pre-order it?
Right.
So I'll have the 3 days early access. Looking forward to it. We may have some things in the works with a few other shows that y'all may be excited about, so keep your eyes open with that. I'm being a little handcuffed right now because I was told I couldn't go into too much detail earlier today by someone. Oh man, but yeah, I'll try to. So stay on the lookout for that. We're gonna try to do something for College Football 27 when it comes out. That I think some of y'all will be excited about.
We missed one thing though. Talking about College Football 27.
Yikes. I didn't even consider that. Man, I wish I would have thought of that because somebody was doing AI image generations of Brendan Sorsby in Houston Gamblers XFL jerseys, and I'm like, oh, the stories write themselves, man.
Can you imagine being one of the devs working on that? It's he's in the game. They put all this work into him. He's in the game, and then all this stuff pops up, and it's all right, I guess we'll just monitor this and see how it goes. And then last week, it's oh yeah, he's not coming back. He's going to supplemental draft, and they're oh, we can delete that file. And then now this news comes out yesterday, whenever it was, no supplemental draft, and they're trying to recover from go to the trash bin, see if we cleared out the trash bin. Yeah, let's get back in there.
And then he ends up just not going back to college at all, and it's right. Back in the trash bin. Oh man, it's a wild situation. The whole thing, it's a roller coaster. It's really a roller coaster. Shrimp. That's a good one. If you pre-order the most expensive edition, you get Source View on your ultimate team.
That's
That would be
true.
hilarious.
Because the Ultimate Team's like buying packs and it's basically gambling.
Oh, it 100% is. It 100% is. That's why I don't even pay attention to the Ultimate Team. Like,
Oh, I can't do it.
I will play my solo dynasties with like Lighthouse of the Blind State University and like bring them to glory, and then I'll do my online dynasties. Um, it breaks my heart because I can't pick my favorite. I can, but I'm not going to pick my favorite dynasty team of the past 2 years. I was riding Georgia Tech in like every online dynasty that I had with all my friends.
Big
And
Haynes
then
King fan?
Oh, I love Haynes King, man. There's a joke that every time I talk about Georgia Tech in our big group message that we all have, it's like somebody says, like one time sent the meme. It was part of my French. It was Haynes King may or may not be a good quarterback, but that motherfucker has a dog in him. Like,
So true.
I was like, yes, it's exactly what I want. And I love the running back to Jamal Haynes. So like the pairing of those two, not having them in the game next year is going to break my heart, man.
They got good unis too. A big part of that's why I love playing with Tulane. Not because I'm like a Tulane fan, but like I mean,
Tulane's
playing with uniforms. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I won't like that's my thing every year where like I mean not just my thing, I'm sure everyone does it, but I'll start with some small school as like an offense coordinator, and then it's like you gotta work your way up. And I'm not starting with you unless you have decent uniforms. Like that's a hard enough for me.
100%. That like I like go through and break down like rosters, uniforms, pipelines, and everything like that. And like I rank all the uniforms of all the teams I'm considering. And like if you have crap uniforms, you're out. Like you know how many times I wanted to do a Hawaii dynasty just because like it would be a tough rebuild to do just because like they're far from everybody. They're in a lower conference.
Yeah.
And Hawaii used to have really good uniforms. Now they have like no options.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they had like good like throwbacks and stuff back in the day. Yeah.
Yes.
You're right.
And then they stripped all of them. San Diego State's the same way. Like San Diego State used to have really, really good jerseys or could have potential to have really, really good jerseys. Because like I like their colors and like I love the helmet design that they have. But they have two options.
That's like one of the like I was considering starting with North Texas last year. What was the quarterback's name that went to Oklahoma State?
Messmaker.
Mm-hmm. I was like, man, he'd be fun to play with. Like they're a good team, but all they got is home and away. I'm like it's just
North Texas only had home and away this year. I played with them in 25, and I love the neon green that they had in 25. I didn't know that they didn't have them in 26.
I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure that was one of the ones I remember looking at and being like, ugh, like that's it. Priorities.
I've used 3 teams over the past 2 years. I've used Georgia Tech, I used UMass, and then I used Rice, which I posted that on X while I was in Houston most recently. I went and took a picture from the Rice Stadium. But yeah, I'll have to pick some new teams this year. I'm leaning Louisville right now. We'll see it. We'll see how all the rosters look, but I think I'm going to be a Louisville guy this year.
Consider I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah, it'll be fun. That was a lot. We went longer on that than I expected us to. I don't know. I'm excited for
topic everyone loves. Yeah,
right. Easy way to transition from football to baseball. 5 for 5. It seems like it has been passed. There's some back and forth whether it's official or not, but it's probably about 99.9% going to be passed. Something that we've talked about quite a bit across our show and Paul's show. Seeing some of the wording that they used and kind of all of this coming into fruition now. What are your thoughts on this finally kind of getting rolled out and the potential for some of this?
I mean, it's great for college sports in general. In baseball particularly, shout out to the guys at Tingle & Co. I was listening to them this morning. They brought up something I hadn't even really thought about as far as like baseball individually. Having that 5th year and the red shirts not being a thing anymore, the baseball red shirt rule is god awful. You play 1 inning. and that's it. You burn your red shirt. At least football, it's like 4 games. They added in the bowl game, and that's you can deal with that. That makes sense. But at least now, like, you don't, like a guy like Ethan Claus, even Daniel Harden last year, that lose a year of eligibility when they didn't even like play much just because they played at all. So having that be gone now, it's good, for younger guys. It's just it eliminates a lot of the question marks as far as oh well, can I try to get an extra year, this and that. It makes it plain. I'm sure there's some details that come out to structure it more officially, but just on the surface, it just, I don't know, it just gives structure is the word. It gives structure to the NCAA, which is something that they can't say they have a whole lot of recently.
Right.
And that's massive. And I don't, it probably doesn't necessarily affect football that much. That's one where it's like after 3 years, if you're good enough, you're going to the draft. You maybe come back for another year. But guys that are most likely going to play a 5th year in football, like, there's not going to be a whole lot of them, I don't think. Basketball's one and done thing anyway. So that, like, it's not
right.
Baseball's the one that it really, really makes interesting. We have this whole leverage conversation every year. And there's also the other side of it. It's I'm guilty of it too. Easy to look at it like, oh, it's just straight leverage that's good for the player coming back. There is also an age aspect, like where teams want players to be younger when they get them. And it's all a balance. There's 2 sides of everything. But I mean, I think it's a win for college sports in general, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. I think baseball is the biggest beneficiary of this, especially considering, like we talked about with Brax, is, if the CBA goes into effect like we're thinking it may, then you'll see more of an NFL style shift of talent, I guess, is the wording I'm looking for. In terms of the draft and where guys go, because you'll have a lot more of those high school guys going to college, or all of them will go to college, and then they'll have to be there for 2 or 3 years, depending upon what they end up deciding with how the current structure is. And you have guys like Stephen Milam who will get another year of leverage. You have guys like You'll have guys like Jake Brown who will get another year of leverage.
Could that be important?
Just saying.
It's there's what we talked about. There's a whole lot of factors that go into it. But say this for like somebody like Jake Brown. Whether it's a giant difference between the possibility of him coming back when he only has 1 year left of eligibility versus the possibility of him coming back with 2. And not that, I mean, I may not think that like the 5 for 5 itself is the determining factor in whether he would choose to come back or not. There's a lot else that goes into something like that, but it matters. It can absolutely matter. I think we've talked about it. Like Paul's, if Jake decides to come back, Paul's gets credit. Paul's like number one thinking he comes back. I said on our show 2 weeks ago, I was like 51-49, and I thought Jake came back. I'm starting to lean the other way now, where I think he goes based off of just talking to folks. I keep landing on that. I don't think 30 teams will just undervalue and miss him. And that's kind of like but this does matter, along with him being a guy that bleeds purple and gold, and as we talked about with Blake, after the Milam news, it would have to be a highly emotional decision for Jake. Like, I don't think this is even a question if it's a guy not from Louisiana, like in his situation, which is basically what it is, a little bit with Currio. but not that guys that aren't from Louisiana can't come and bleed purple and gold. That's not what I'm saying.
Milo.
But yeah, like exactly. But it's gonna be an interesting to watch for sure. But this matters. Like five matters. It's like I said, you're not just forfeiting all of that leverage now, and I don't know. It's like we said, it's extremely, extremely valuable for baseball. I'm interested to see, like you kind of alluded to, how they pair, other rules like the CBA, like the MLB drafting with it, to where like this is a good step for college baseball or college in general, but college baseball, how they, factor it in with potential changes to the draft is going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah. I'm going to spin back to Jake a little bit, and then I have a reminder for you. So don't let me forget that I have a reminder. You remind me to remind you of my reminder for you.
Yeah.
I'm still 65-35 that he goes. I'm not going to go and say he's 100% going. I think 5 for 5 makes it a lot more interesting now. And it's exactly what the three of us, me, you, and Paul, had kind of thought it would be, was that guys that are in school can apply for that 5th year. And where I think the 35% comes in, where I'm at, is if you're Jake Brown, you're offered $2 million right now, or the opportunity to make $4 million next year at this time. Because, like,
right,
he can improve his stock pretty greatly. Not saying that, like, his stock isn't already fantastic, but, like, he can certainly improve his stock. Coming back, playing full season, tearing it up like we would all expect him to. And then he could be in the position to be a first-round pick next year. Like, I don't think that's out of the question.
If he was there, because he was already there, because he was there before he broke his hamate bone. I mean, this is an interesting thing to bring up too, like Paul just mentioned. Like that's something too. There's a whole lot of factors that go into it, but like, could he? So for those that don't know, the current CBA between the MLB and the Players Association ends on December 1st of 2026. That's why Paul was mentioning Paul's of the belief that it could start to have issues before you even get to the end of this season. But nonetheless, like there's a lot of people that think there could be a lockout because we know how these things go between players associations and professional leagues. It doesn't go well. It's not smooth. So like, does he want to take there's a lot of risk neither way you put it. Like you just said, like, does he, it's a gamble, like maybe the odds would be in his favor, but it's a gamble to pass on like $2 million this year and try to get 4 in the first round. Like, that is a gamble, but it's also a gamble to choose to go to the league and then not play next year if there's some sort of lockout. I'm assuming they have a better feel for how possible that actually is than we know. That their agents and their representatives and scouts and whoever, like I'm sure that's more on the table. There's a lot to go in. He's got a giant decision to make, and it's interesting to say for that a guy that is about to be possibly offered $2 million has an interesting decision to make, a tough decision to make, because he's getting offered $2 million. Like, any of us is just like, yeah, take that $2 million. I was talking with Koki Riley today. Shout out our guy Koki. We're kind of on the same page where like lean he goes, but I kind of this is me editorializing and just guessing here. This is not what I've been told. But my personal feeling is almost that he'll go into now having this 5th year thing, potentially not lose leverage, go into the draft with a high number. If it gets past like pick 60, which is what we talked about with Paul, and he's that slot value drops, below 2 million, I don't know the exact pick, but after 60, it's around that. I think it would have to be over slot, but we've also heard, like Blake said, we've heard from other people that they think like scouts will say that they'd pay him $2 million now. So they may go over slot. But I think my thought on their mindset going into this draft would be go into it with a number that's more equal to the slot value pre-injury. So when he was thinking he'd get picked 30 to 40, something like that is what we had heard before he got hurt. Like that may be his number. Like whatever pick 35 is, that may be his number. So if he gets picked at 60, they got to give him the slot value of 35, which that's a lot. We also got to factor in like, yeah, there may be a team that's like ready to offer him that right now, but who's to say that the way the draft doesn't fall out, you get to pick 60. We'll just keep saying that number. And a team that was ready to give him that was another guy that they may have higher on their board that is still available. Well, they end up going with that guy. So there's just a whole lot in play here.
In the MLB draft of the three major sports franchises or sports organizations is the most random of all of them. I don't even think it's particularly close either.
No,
like you think there's like chaos in the NFL draft and the NBA draft. The MLB draft is fairy dust. Like it's here, it's there, it doesn't exist. Like it's just like absolute chaos at all times. So like the first pick could end up being somebody who like wasn't even on other teams' board for the first 3 or 4 rounds. Like it's just all it is a chaos show. But one thing I do want to get into before I give you a reminder, I had this listed down. I wrote down little notes as I typically do. So Tyler mentioned it in the comments and reminded me as well. Here we go. If they don't get Brown back, Blair from Oklahoma could be intriguing. Very, 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 very intriguing. It's a name I want everybody to be on the lookout for. I guess that's all I'm going to say about that. I needed to throw that out before we get there. Freak athlete though. His stats weren't like wowing, but he is a freak athlete indeed.
If you can get to it quick, I'm gonna answer this question. If you want to try to pull up, I got Jake McKeever's tweet about I forgot when he mentioned that he was going in the portal. Jake has very, 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 as you kept saying, good things to say about him. I'll answer this real quick. What do you do with Anthony X? What do you do with Jake? What do you do with Jason? I think it's Wax, by the way. We've been back and forth. Jay Johnson said Wax on Mic'd Up last week. So I'll follow Jay's lead. So Jason Wax and Bino Waters, what do you do with Jake? Jake's your center fielder if he comes back. I know, we've discussed this 2 weeks ago. Paul believes he may, stay in right, but he's in the outfield regardless. I think the question would then be, what do you do with like William Patrick or somebody like that? Like if Jake's back, like that's your 3 outfielders. That's my thoughts. But yeah,
I got the tweet pulled up from Jake. Like I said, a physically imposing athlete, was recruited for OU basketball as well. I wonder if LSU having a better head coach now for basketball is part of that. We've seen guys try to play 2 sports at once now. Or if he just decided I'm going to focus more on baseball and Oklahoma being a national champion, but LSU is a higher ceiling program. That feels dirty to say, but it's the truth. And somebody you can develop who's a freshman or going to be a sophomore, or I don't know. I feel like another 5 for 5 tangent, but like they're going to have to reword how they do the classification of all these guys. I personally hope they just come up with another word somewhere in the middle, like Bridgman or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would rather them come up with a new word rather than like first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
right.
So that's
Yeah.
side tangent that was. But yeah, somebody to be on the lookout for sure is Alec Blair.
Yeah, for sure. And we had this, when we first saw this news earlier, we talked about it a little bit. My first thought was that, it could coincide with what they think Jake Brown may do. But then, upon, Shad, you and Paul kind of mentioned it, him being, I didn't realize he was a freshman, and him being a guy, who knows? Like if he wants to consider this 2-year thing, it's come be, depth, like you mentioned, depth outside of pitching, outfield depth was probably your biggest question or issue this year when you had guys start going down. I mean, you were moving to be like, no disrespect, you were moving infielders to the outfield. Like Tanner Reeves is a career infielder playing outfield. He did a good job at it. But yeah, that's one to watch for sure.
Your reminder.
Yes. Yeah, even me personally, going into this offseason, I thought the two guys I thought would be the first two, not the first two, but as far as the pitchers go in the I guess more impactful players that you had even from 2 years ago, that I thought may, look for the portal was Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams. Maverick Rizzi did. He's going to Ole Miss. We know that. But then we hadn't heard anything about Cooper Williams. And look, we've talked about this plenty of times. I was as big of a Cooper Williams guy as there was going into 2026 because he had an incredible freshman year, his fall, and then most importantly, his preseason was awesome. Like there's a very high ceiling there. Jay Johnson has always mentioned that he profiles as a starter. I wondered if he would just, based on the last year, like the little bit of development issues. I'm still not – maybe he was banged up. I don't know. Maybe there's an injury we don't know about. It was just odd that he just struggled, more than he did as a freshman. So anyway, I thought he was one of the guys that may look to move on for next year, look for a spot to start. Because if we're being honest, we don't think he's going to start, be in the rotation for 2027. I think that's fair to say. But he hasn't entered the portal. We haven't heard that. I think Jay mentioned him when talking about the left-handed pitchers last week. And then, even, Brax just mentioned, Cooper, I think he mentioned last night. I've heard a couple of mentions of him. So it seems like he's coming back, and I'm very excited about that.
I didn't even think about that. I really didn't even think about that. The Braxton mentioned Cooper Williams in some of the Tigers that he's has relationships with already.
Yep.
Interesting.
I would, based on 2 years of Cooper Williams, I firmly believe that this past year was the anomaly, because we've just seen it, and it's almost like you got. I was so, I don't want to say sure. I mean, because it was just me guessing, but I was almost so positive that he may enter the portal that now if he stays, it almost feels like you added somebody else from the portal. Like I'm very excited about that. Like another year, like that's an important guy, to have back and continue working with, develop. And, from a left side, obviously we always talk about that. You can't have too many left-handed pitchers.
Right. And I think that's the fun thing about playing the portal game every year, no matter what sport it is like, you run through and you tack off guys that you may think will enter the portal, and then they don't. And it like you said, it feels like a portal addition. It feels like a win, because you can start adding numbers back to the positional needs that you have.
Right.
Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. I always have stuff that I remember, want to or try to remember to say at the end, and then when you ask me, it's just like it's all gone. But just quickly, shout out again to Braxton Beaty. Very excited about him. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. Like I said, go walk it off from last night if y'all didn't catch it. Great interview where they talked about a lot of different things than we talked about tonight. It's worth going back and watching. Paul did a great job. I guess stay on the lookout. We got more coming from And the Valley Shook as we continue writing some stuff up. If there's any more portal news coming, it'll be on there along with a lot of other good stuff. But we don't have a date. I've mentioned Jason Armstrong all the time on our show, Inside LSU Baseball on X. He's awesome. He's really, really good. Former, LSU stud himself. We're trying to work on nail down a date. His schedule's kind of fluid. He will be on the show at some point. We're hoping that it's before draft because I don't know if I've ever seen somebody cover from an LSU standpoint, like the recruiting class pre-draft as well as he does. He is all over it. Like I told him, like I don't get into it as much because it's just so hard to keep up with. And then there's so much unknown going. You just talked about that. It's the craziest, most chaos-driven draft there is. Jason's got you there. So he had a video came out, I think last week, kind of talking about it. I'm sure he'll have more to come. So we're hoping to get him. I told him if not, if we can't get it, if it doesn't work out before, then we can get him after the draft, and he can tell us all about the guys that are coming to campus, and fill us in on that. So be on the lookout for that. Go follow him. But I wanted to mention this. AP mentioned it last night on his show. AP and I are going to be working on this little co-op series. Is shout at him as his idea of covering guys that play football and baseball at LSU, or just two sports in general. Like Jared Mitchell, obviously, is like the first name that comes to mind. But guys like that, even Chad Jones, guys like that, where he'll cover a football side, I'll cover a baseball side, and maybe try to come out with one a week, for the rest of the summer. Just a little fun summer content. So we'll get that nailed down and be on the lookout for that.
Fantastic. Tomorrow marks 72 days until LSU football kicks off against Clemson. Player for tomorrow, I'll spoil it here early. Give the viewers a little taste of a little privilege. Tomorrow's to be Glenn Dorsey. Easy choice there. Anything else? I think we've got it all. Make sure to go follow us. I'm at Zach Nunez TV on X. He is DC Billiot Jr. The show is at Geaux Deep Dive. You can also follow our gracious network, Be in the Know, on all of their platforms. We are Geaux Deep Dive on every platform now. I got to
deep dive.
Go. Oh man!
Every time. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it.
No, time. I still love it. It's like an ugly baby. Like it's just our ugly baby.
You know what it is? Shout out for my Game of Thrones House of Dragon guys. It's Sheep Stealer. It's you have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone in here does. Somebody, at least one person does. It's just like
it's
got a face so ugly that you just gotta love it.
I'll figure it out shortly. I've had somebody lend me an HBO subscription, so it's on my list to catch up for the week.
Man, I was been trying to brainstorm a way. I wish it was. I don't know. I've been trying to brainstorm a way to do like a little House of Dragon reaction show. I'm still. I want to get on here and talk about it. It's. I love it so much. So if anyone would be interested in that, please reach out and tell me.
Oh yeah. We have so many ideas, man. So many ideas.
Summer's like really narrows down. Like once, like you go into summer and you're thinking, man, we got a lot of space to fill that air. There's not a whole lot going on, and then you start throwing it all together, and it's like, crap, we don't have enough time for all this.
Right. Then crap hits the fan, and then you're like, oh, there's some little bit of this that we need to sprinkle in, and a little bit of that we need to. Yeah, it's never boring. It's never boring. Plug the channels, like and subscribe too if you haven't. Need to throw that in there. Don't think I'm missing anything.
Nope, I think you got it. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate it.
Stay young, Trip. Stay young, Trip. Don't get old like us. I included myself in that one though, so it's okay.
He mentioned something about not having gray hairs earlier, buddy. If you see my beard when it starts to come out, I appreciate you saying that because I know for a fact you noticed it more in the press box. So just thank you for not saying that. You're back to my good side, Trip. I love you.
Alrighty, thank y'all for joining us. Peace. Go Tigers.
Thank you guys. Go Tigers.
Tigers. Go 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 Tigers.